Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
Phil Aubrey, Joe Aiello, Shalinda Kirby at 6:10. Good morning.
I'm going to start the day by telling you the AC/DC song of the day. And what inspired me this morning was as I was leaving the building, Iron Mike, our boss, was here going, hey, you sure like throwing that out there, eh? What time?
Did you get in trouble again?
Was it passive? Was it passive aggressive?
Well, I was passing. It was passing aggressive. I was passing him to leave. And he got a little aggressive with, well, I don't know if you have to give the time. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't have to give you the exact time, but I will tell you this.
Joe got pee-pee whacked. Joe got pee-pee whacked.
Yeah, and there's not much there to get whacked. So, Big Gun.
Oh, my Lord.
Hey, Big Gun is the name of the song today.
Okay.
AC/DC's Big Gun, and I'm going to tell you, it's happening at these times, in the 8 o'clock hour, 1 o'clock hour, and 6 o'clock hour with Big Daddy Kane as well. And see, I never gave the exact time.
No, and that's
we got
because
it
you
this
got in
morning.
trouble. So,
Joe, you are for the people. You know that? Because
try.
if you get in trouble, it's always because you're, trying to help somebody.
Iron Mike doesn't really give us heck. He just kind of, that was a light jab. It wasn't an uppercut. He just kind of gave me a jab with.
Well, him and I were sparring right before that about some new chairs in the studio that he's very excited about. The chairs have been here for a while. He got some repairs done to them.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, okay.
Actually, a renovation, not a repair, right?
They
got them
weren't
extended.
tall enough, so they had to be extended.
Yeah.
So the extenders, I didn't even know there were such a thing, extenders
I
for
thought
chairs.
extensions were just for like hair and things, but I didn't know chairs.
That's right. So anyway, he came in here yesterday and like, okay, we're getting rid of the old chairs. I got the new chairs. They've got the extenders installed, yada, yada. And I'm like, hey, hold up. I like the chair. I've gotten used to, I don't like trying new things. You know that about me.
Oh, my gosh.
Right.
I'm like, well, hold up, Iron Mike. I've gotten used to that other chair. Don't you dare touch it.
Yeah, I'm sitting in one of the new ones,
What
too.
do you think? Are they okay?
Not bad.
Like, how far back does it go? I'm scared to test it out.
You know what I find? Well, it goes back. I mean, there's some
I'm
adjustments.
scared it's going to go so far back.
Don't fall.
So am I.
All these
fall,
new
Aiello.
chairs, they have those extra adjusters. You just got to figure out which one. And the first one you always seem to pull is the hydraulic one that takes you right down to the ground, as if you're in like a 2-seater sports car.
And then trying to get it back up again.
Yeah, not with all this weight on it. It's not going back up. I'll tell you that.
Philly Joe Kirby.
Philly Joe and Kirby.
Podcast.
The Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
Pissed off? Well, then get the off Twitter and call the BONEPHONE.
Don't make me look up from my phone.
780-BONE. Brought to you by Auto Gallery of Winnipeg.
Good morning. I just wanted to know, what time do you play the AC/DC hit of the day? I always seem to miss it. Anyways, if you can just tell me, that'd be great. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Well, seeing as Joe got in trouble about this from the boss yesterday, you might as well give the info, JoJo.
8 a.m. this morning with PJK, 1 o'clock this afternoon, and then 6 p.m. in that hour as well today. The song you're listening for, Big Gun.
Okay. U-turns in traffic.
Yeah, a little public service reminder, announcement, pro tip, driving lore, whatever the hell you want to call it. If you're making a U-turn on Portage Avenue or anywhere, you absolutely do not have the right of way to make your U-turn in front of oncoming traffic. Just so you're aware. Take the guesswork out of it. Oh, I wonder if I can complete my U-turn before that car comes. You can't.
Is he talking about somebody who fails a U-turn and then has to back up and those situations?
Oh, yeah, they don't have enough room,
Yeah.
basically, and then they hold things up.
Well, if he's talking about Portage Avenue, making all 3 or 4 of the other lanes stop while you're making that U-turn, that's called an F U-turn.
Yeah. That's very dangerous, too.
Yes, it is.
Okay, yesterday, Vinny was upset about the possibility of a House of Pain Spotlight Week here on 92.1 City. It's not happening anytime soon, I think we can safely say.
Oh, yeah, but you know what's next week? It's Hendrix this week. I just saw this. The Doors.
Oh,
Next week.
nice. Yes.
You just played a Doors song a couple days ago that got a big reaction on the Boston Pizza text line. One of my all-time favorite bands,
They're
too, the
so
Doors.
good. Yeah. Anyway, so we wound up playing a House of Pain song just to salute Vinny and his disdain for the band.
Hi, it's Highway Girl.
I gotta tell you, playing Jump Around after listening to Vinny's call about Hout pain, absolutely tremendous. That was great. Grinning from ear to ear. Keep it up, folks.
Yeah, it was fun, and I'm sure we'll hear from Vinny about it in the next few days.
And listen, we were talking about business names for House of Pain. We were talking about like a gym or a massage therapist, and then my cousin Jenny tells me she works out at a place called Big Mama's House of Pain. Like if you're going to a gym and it's called Big Mama's House of Pain, you're getting your money's worth on a workout.
I've met Big Mama.
And did you enter the House of Pain?
No, that's not my kind of place. I'm going to be honest.
I hope they play Jump Around and like lots of House of Pain music while you're working out. That would be perfect.
No kidding.
A couple of things from traffic for this call.
Good morning, PJK. Today I would like to discuss turn signal etiquette. For those people that sit in the median lane through a whole red light, even though they know they're turning left, and don't decide to put on their turn signal until the light turns green, very annoying. This needs to stop. Secondly, for those that like to just stop in the middle of the road and then turn the corner, it would help us all if you put on your turn signal a little earlier before you turn the corner. That would give us a heads up, especially if it's icy out. It's not cool. Have a great day, all.
Okay.
See, you're asking for a lot there. You're asking people to, A, use the turn signal, and then if they do, you're asking for it not to be either earlier or like too early or not early enough. Does that make sense?
No, it didn't, actually.
Okay.
I
Well,
think
in my head,
I think you just said it wrong. What you meant was put it on early before you get into the turning lane, not when you're waiting for the light to turn or when you are getting into the turn lane. Yes.
Joe,
I know what you meant. It
you
just
get
came out.
me.
You
Not
too.
always,
Yeah.
but most of the time.
Thanks for the translation, Joe. We appreciate it.
Well, everybody will understand what that gentleman was saying, especially on slippery days. We can't think for the car in front of us, right? Or
Very
vehicle
true.
in front of us. So
Let's wrap with a couple of calls about grocery store parking.
Good morning. I'd like to congratulate parked in the fire lane at Freshco on Henderson Highway. And because he doesn't know how to use the backup lever on his vehicle or gear or whatever it is, proceeded to drive down the public sidewalk to leave.
Oh
Have a nice day, everybody.
Whew, that's dangerous, embarrassing,
Heavy emphasis on embarrassing.
dangerous.
wow. Embarrassing for all of us, but sometimes you have to wonder how oblivious the person is that's driving. Like, do they even realize like how embarrassing it is?
Well, and you know what? If I was that person, I wouldn't make eye contact.
No,
I would.
But some of Joe's right. There's a level of I don't care what you think. This is what I'm doing. Get out of my way.
Yeah.
And on that note, this call had been hanging around for a while, and I kind of forgot about it. It's the Welsh Dragon with a story about lazy parking.
I worked for Superstore in Portage. That was about 15 years ago. And it's kind of funny because Superstore on Portage has underground parking. And someone, because it was so filled up, someone parked in the carousel spot. That's where you put the shopping carts.
Oh, yeah.
And their excuse was, well, I didn't know it was a carousel. Talk about ignorance. And when they left, their bumper of their car grabbed onto a shopping cart and took off with it. It was embarrassing, but yet I wish I saw it because I heard it was quite funny. Okay, guys. See you on Monday. Okay, bye.
I'll tell you what, the Welsh Dragon delivered.
Driving down the road with a shopping cart attached to your bumper.
The Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
We announced the AC/DC song of the day that you're listening for. Big Gun, Joe?
Yeah, it'll come up this morning with us sometime after 8 o'clock this morning. We got Throwdown Thursday today at about 7:20. The tail of the tape.
Oh, yeah. We haven't even decided on a Throwdown Thursday matchup yet.
Yeah.
What'd you guys do last week when I was off?
It was it DLR versus Sammy Hagar?
Yeah, because it was Van Halen week and one of those polarizing music topics. Somebody actually suggested one yesterday on the Boston Pizza text line, but I don't want to spoil it yet.
The Sammy one versus David Lee Roth was before I went on vacation, though. So what'd you guys do last week?
What did we do last week?
I 100% remember doing that graphic.
Yeah, no, but you trust me, you'd remember.
Something to do with movies.
Before us.
Movies,
oh, yes.
Okay.
Did we not do Liam Neeson against Bruce Willis?
Okay.
Was that the action?
I'm just, here? No. It was the ultimate battle. Trusty bar of soap versus body wash.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's right, because
sad I missed that.
something had come up. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, funny that you mentioned it, because today I jump in the shower, and as I'm walking in, I look and I see like the thinnest of slivers of bars of soap. And usually Christy will identify and put another bar of soap, right? Mm-hmm. We use different soap. And she didn't, and thank God I noticed, because I grabbed it, because when I go back home tonight or later today, I'll notice there's that slim piece that's going to be on my new bar of soap, and they're two different brands. And
You don't like that?
I ate it.
You don't like it when your
He
food
already
mixes?
looks upset.
The welded pieces of soap don't do it for me, and especially when they're different brands.
I like that. It's like a
I know.
potpourri of different soaps and scents. It's wonderful.
Oh, wow. That's the reason why body wash is superior, in my opinion, because like nobody's mixing body washes. You know what I mean? And body wash also doesn't contain random strands of hair.
It's me. It's just me. I'm the only one that uses that bar of soap.
Same here. So if it has...
Yeah. I know what you're saying, but since it's my own bar of soap, I don't care.
So the curlies are yours.
The little curly reds are mine for sure.
Yeah, I'm not just using a universal bar of soap at the gym, like just picking it up.
It's not in prison. It's not universal soap.
Whoops.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast. Philly Joe and Kirby's Entertainment Rundown.
On this day in 2009, a movie was released that is as much a part of this show as the three of us are.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want.
Mm-hmm.
If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Good luck.
So why doesn't he have any money, though? I've kind of been wondering. As I listen to that clip, I'm like, why you got no cash, Liam? Like,
He wasn't good with his money,
I
okay?
guess.
He doesn't have any RSPs.
You're looking for money? I don't have any.
It's pretty hard. Pretty hard when you do what you do for a living to track some RSPs, Kirby. You're not going to be around long enough to cash them in, is what I'm thinking. I will say this. I have one Liam Neeson bucket list thing left to do, and it's to watch Taken, Taken 2, and Taken 3 in one day.
All together?
Yeah.
Do it. They'll run a
The
marathon.
trifecta. It's hard to find. If somebody out there knows where all three are featured on what streaming site, it's hard to find all three, I thought.
It's hard to find more family members to kidnap, I'll tell you that, after the trilogy.
You want to walk into one of those movies and go, oh, my God, what are the odds? Pretty good. Pretty good. Something you're going to get abducted.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, speaking of movies, I'm a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan's movies, okay? They're always very weird.
Yeah.
And he has teamed up. This is such an interesting collab. So the author behind The Notebook, Nicholas Sparks.
Yeah.
Okay, he's written a lot of bestsellers. So him, Nicholas Sparks, and M. Night Shyamalan are teaming up for a romantic thriller. And it looks like Jake Gyllenhaal has signed on to star in it.
Okay. A romantic thriller.
No name, no...
Nope.
Okay.
It's an early project, but they do
The way you made that scene, though. They've teamed up. Hold on to your hats for a romantic thriller.
Well, I mean,
I was like,
have you ever thought the two worlds would collide in this sense? I mean, you're looking at two major movie.
oh, the two guys that are coming
like
together.
behind.
Sorry, I thought you meant like romance and thriller. I thought
No,
that's what
it's
you
just more the collab between
Gotcha.
Nicholas
Okay.
Sparks and M. Night Shyamalan.
meant. We will look forward to that for sure, Curbs.
Meg Ryan, Billy Crystal, you remember from When Harry Met Sally, the iconic scene, of course, the moaning in Cat's Deli?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to get revisited, not in movie form, but commercial form. The Super Bowl, $8 million an ad apparently is what Fox is getting right now for Super Bowl 58 on February 9th. And these two are going to walk in a Cat's Deli, I guess, as their characters from the movie Where Harry Met Sally. And, of course, Crystal starts with, "Can't believe they let us back into this place." And Meg Ryan bites her sandwich, unimpressed because there's no mayo. It's a Hellman's mayo commercial. And, of course, you know where it goes from there with the "here we go." And anyway, it ends with, "I'll have what she's having." So they're going to remake this in commercial form for Hellman's mayo. Coming up.
Always one of the highlights of the Super Bowl.
Are the commercials.
All the great commercials, yep. That's your entertainment rundown.
The Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
Philly Joe and Kirby's
Throwdown Thursday.
Back to a musical, a rock and roll Throwdown Thursday. A couple weeks ago, David Lee Roth versus Sammy Hagar, and this morning, in honor of your chance to win a trip to go see AC/DC in Nashville, one that will be very polarizing, one that will generate a ton of opinions, one that I believe there is no right answer. Brian Johnson versus Bon Scott, the two legendary frontmen for the great band that is AC/DC.
Well, one of the greatest rock stories, I think, is basically Bon Scott, who came out of nowhere with this band from Australia and in short order made himself a rock and roll superstar, and unfortunately his life came to an end shortly. And then they find this super fan who basically was a driver, was he not? If I remember correctly, that could sing and
well, he had his own band. He did have a band, but yes,
but ends up meeting the guys and ends up being the guy after that. Never said once he was trying to replace Bon Scott, but there's just something about Bon Scott for me. And the first album I ever bought was Back in Black, believe it or not, with Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still gonna run you with that Bon Scott, that evil sound and rock grit. I like both, but as I did both with Van Halen, but I'm going to go Bon Scott.
If you have to pick one, it's Bon Scott. I think a lot of people will go the Bon Scott way. And you know what? My first inclination was to go Bon Scott, but the more I think about it, like Brian Johnson, the amount of pressure he faced, there was so many ways that could have gone bad for him.
Oh man!
But instead, he puts forth a legendary career of his own. I'll go with Brian Johnson.
And remember, losing his voice, and they thought it was over.
Yeah,
and looking for another replacement. And didn't Axl fill in for a couple of shots, right? Yeah.
And sorry, Kirby, before you go, I've also seen Brian Johnson live twice, enjoyed it both immensely, and I've never, unfortunately, had the chance to see Bon Scott live, but I would have loved to.
For me, it all comes down to vocals. You know how much I'm big on vocals, and I love powerhouse singers. Brian Johnson, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, Bon Scott had that grit to his voice.
Sure did.
And for sure, was the reason AC/DC grew to be what it was before Brian Johnson jumped in, but I really got to go with Brian.
Sure. I'll tell you, we've only had about 6 votes so far on the Boston Pizza text line. It's all Bon Scott, but this will be a close vote, I think. And you can vote. So
there's no wrong answer on this one.
Well, somebody put Bonnie Scott. That's a difference.
I like Bonnie too. And you know what? Underrated. She was right between Bon Scott and Brian Johnson.
Just didn't have what it took,
I don't know if people talk about Bonnie. Weigh in on the 92.1 City Facebook page, or you can send us a text as well. 762-555. What a matchup today.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
Oh, inject the venom. That's a strong pitch right there for Brian Johnson.
Right? Those vocals.
I'm trying to influence our listeners with my opinion. It's not helping, and that is no slight on Brian Johnson, but I would say Bon Scott is getting the overwhelming amount of votes right now on our Facebook page and on the text line. Throwdown Thursday, Bon Scott versus Brian Johnson.
Totally two different sounds, and yet That band has survived a lot over the years, and I don't think a lot of people are expecting this world tour.
I honestly have wanted to do a couple of AC/DC songs at karaoke night, but there's no way that you can replicate the
That's tough.
the high pitch, and it's like, oof, there isn't enough shots that will get me that high.
I don't know about that. I could see you.
Do you think I could do some AC/DC?
Yeah, I don't.
I would still do it with confidence, even if it was bad. So
Right. I think you're selling yourself short. You see a microphone and a couple of drinks.
I did do karaoke in Cuba, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
What song?
Yep. Come on. I know. Yep.
You guys know my go-to. It's "Hit Me With Your Best Shot," Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
Is it really? I thought it would be Christina
Well,
Aguilera.
no, God,
You're a
I
fighter.
would never.
Tough voice to do.
Yeah, you can't touch on those kind of voices at karaoke.
If you're like me and you cannot sing a lick and you have to go up and do a song because you're kind of pressured up to doing it, I will give you the easiest song in the world for any guy to do with a deep voice. Ring of Fire, Johnny Cash. You can't screw it up.
Any
In
Johnny.
a burning ring of fire.
A lot
burn,
of Johnny.
Burn, right? It's the easiest.
For anything where there's lots of yelling, I've talked about that on this show. It's got to be a Godsmack or a Disturbed, some even some Metallica, because I can skip a bunch of lines and just jump back in on the like so.
And the crowd, they'll pick up on it.
Sure.
So.
Pick up on it. It'll come down to a screeching halt listening. Because it's right. You know what I mean? Like, because all of a sudden, oh, who's up there? Look, here's our next contestant tonight. It's Dolly Parton. And they're here. Here's Shalinda Kirby singing Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers. It's a duet, right? Or they're doing Meatloaf's Paradise. That's not even the song I said.
Well, I was ready.
It's the one she knows.
Yeah, okay, she's 2 shots in.
The Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
Were you eating a sandwich a few minutes ago, Joe? I think and then you kind of walked out of the studio here, and I didn't get a chance to, check out what kind of sandwich that was.
I used to bring a sandwich in all the time to work. Then I stopped doing that just because of the bread quotient in my day. But today I felt like I had a craving for a peanut butter sandwich. So
no
easy
jam?
peasy. No. And actually, that's funny because when I made it last night, Christy said, "Oh, you want jam?" And I said, "No, just peanut butter." I haven't had a peanut butter and jam or peanut butter and jelly sandwich in probably 30 years.
I love my peanut butter, and I can do just peanut butter on toast.
Yeah.
But if it's a sandwich, I gotta have the jam in there.
You need the sugar.
It's too dry.
Okay.
No, it's not about the sugar. It's like the old cliche, can't have one without the other, PB&J. But I just
proved you can.
The peanut, you like just the peanut butter sandwich, but I like some jam on there.
Usually Phil has at least 1 or 2 Uncrustables a morning.
Oh,
that's pretty much the same thing, is it not?
Yep.
Except
that's peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's just more
They
convenient.
smell great.
Yeah.
They're good.
Maybe that's where I got the craving from. It was subliminal, and it stuck in my head. But I don't bring a sandwich to work anymore.
It's nice to see you bringing sandwiches back to work.
I'm glad your bread quota's up because I'm telling you, Joe, I don't know anybody other than you that loves pizza more. And I just read this morning that the average person has not changed their pizza order in 2 years. And you're pretty
2 years.
You're pretty
Try 30 for Joe.
on par with what you get for pizza.
Absolutely. It starts with pepperoni. And depending how crazy I'm going to get, there's probably a protein or 2 more that's going to get added.
Have you jumped on the trend of these pepperonis
sometimes.
that people are ordering that are like little caps that pop up in the oven?
No, I don't know anything. I don't know
like
this.
the little pepperonis that curl up? It's a thing.
Won't any pepperoni curl up?
I know what you're saying. It's just it's the type of pepperoni they're using. Yeah. I've had it. It's fine. Yeah, they're good. It's just a different.
So what's your order though? Is it
pepperoni? Sometimes just pepperoni. Sometimes I'll throw in some bacon. Sometimes Italian sausage. Sometimes Genoa salami.
No, you notice what's missing, Curbs?
Yeah.
And no vegetables on that pizza.
Yeah, there is. There's tomato sauce.
Oh, right. Yes. Can't
That's
forget
enough
about
of
that.
a base.
But I bet you know what? That your average person, Especially men, do not, because I know I don't. I've had to change it a little bit because my boys don't like mushrooms,
Right.
and mushrooms has been a staple on my pizza.
I could do mushrooms sometimes.
for years. So now it's like bacon pepperoni is a pretty either just pepperoni or bacon pepperoni.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids I still see just cheese
That's
pizzas.
me. That's me.
Well, yeah, that's because you don't eat meat though.
Yeah, but I could have a vegetarian pizza.
You don't have veggie pizza. You have just cheese.
If I,
did not
have
know
the
this.
option, I will just go for a classic cheese.
I've brought this up before at our staff meetings, and I don't know who to talk to, but
HR, buddy.
Well, I might as well if they because they're killing me. If they order 10 pizzas for a staff function, okay,
We've had to hear about this a few times.
Well, 2 of them, okay, are going to be vegetarian. 2 of them.
You don't need 2 vegetarians.
And one of them will be cheese. So that's, 30% of the pizzas are vegetarian and cheese. And what are the only pieces left? There's never anything else left.
Every time.
Except a vegetarian pizza because, and how do I know that? Because Phil and I, as an option B, will have to go to that box and go, okay, I guess this is it. That's all that's left.
More
and
for
it'll
me.
be left.
Always.
More for you, nothing. You'll have your 3 pieces, and then it's just left. And then the next day will come in, and what's left in the fridge?
Always.
A
And
vegetarian.
It's not like 1 or 2 pieces of the vegetarian or 1 or 2. You're right. It's like
Not enough staff.
3/4 of the
eating that.
vegetarian is left over.
I understand it's not a
3/4.
go-to grab, okay?
No, but
like,
just buy one. Make one of the other ones.
Go-to crap.
I mean, I'm really on board with like sometimes there'll be like a feta pineapple. Like that's a good one.
It's
a vegetarian option. It doesn't have any meat on it.
That's new wave.
That's too new wave for
Oh
Joe.
my God.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
The boys of summer, in late January. Is that like when you hear a song that's more geared towards summer, does it make you think, like, are you thinking to yourself, I don't want to hear that song in January? Or is it the opposite effect, like, all right, there's light at the end of the tunnel, I can't wait for summer?
I feel like it's a crime. Like I'm committing a crime if I'm listening to a summer-esque song in the middle of winter.
Really, eh?
Yes.
It doesn't hit me either way.
Indifferent. Good
Yeah,
song's a good
just-
song,
yeah.
whether it has a summer tone to it or not.
Yeah, but that being said, there's a lot of songs that I don't even really pay attention to the lyrics. You know what I mean? Like it just, I mean, obviously that one I know because of the Don Headley original too, right?
Yep.
But yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about that.
You're not listening to Christmas tunes in July, you know? Like,
Yeah, but that's a theme.
well, so is summer.
Yeah, this is, well, yeah, but this isn't a summer theme. It's about the boys of summer.
It's just in the title.
Yeah, like
Christmas carols would be.
those are apples and oranges.
Yeah, a
you're
little
comparing.
different because it's not like you listen to Christmas carols all winter long. It's really
That's true.
It's probably for a month, and then they go back on the shelf for a whole year. Whereas that song or a lot of song, anything that seems to pertain to summer, that gets played all year round.
Mm-hmm.
So, someone says they listen to Christmas music in the summer on the
Yeah.
Boston Pizza text line. I could not do that. In fact, I see people with like Christmas decorations still up as I drive around, and I'm like, come on, got to take those down. Like the big reindeer displays on the front lawn.
I mean, some people just like to leave it up. If you
Hey,
still have your
Santa.
Christmas tree up, then we got to talk.
And you're the most Christmas guy in the room.
I love it. But the second early January rolls around, like to be honest, January 2nd, that stuff's coming down. In fact, my wife's more about like Boxing Day, let's get it down, which I don't agree with, but whatever. She cleans it up, so it's her choice. But once you're now, like we're in late January, that stuff, I would think
We're
that
almost done. I mean, we've got 2 more days, and then we're into February.
the Santa inflatable should probably have come down by now.
Are you kidding? I had someone down the street. That thing went down like day 2, not by accident. You know what I mean? Sometimes those inflatables don't
they're
make the
tough.
whole month.
They're tough. As soon as you get
In
some
our
wind,
weather, yeah.
you can strap those bad boys down as good as you want. They usually, if it's a big windstorm, they'll wind up in your neighbor's yard.
There's a Santa Claus that's up year-round on, I think it's Narren, headed on to, Narren turns into what again, Phil?
Region.
Yeah, so it's like just past the Narren overpass, and then there's somebody's house that has a Santa Claus, and they dress that Santa Claus up for everything you can imagine. Like Pink Shirt Day, it had a
so
pink
it's
shirt on.
all year round.
Valentine's Day, it'll have a Valentine's Day vibe to it.
Oh.
Like they theme that Santa Claus in their backyard that faces the road, which I guess is Regent. It's kind of cool to see.
Maybe the theory is, look, this ain't cheap. Like an inflatable, it's an inflatable.
It's like not an inflatable,
Statue,
it's a statue.
Whatever it is, those are not cheap.
Well, didn't you have a dinosaur
For Halloween?
one year or for Christmas? I can't remember.
Yes, we do. No, it's a dragon. It's a dragon.
dragon, that's
for
right.
Halloween, because what's more
Not
Halloween?
even the red dragon theme.
It's purple. What's more Halloween than a purple dragon? It's
Right?
terrifying. Right across, people are helping you out with your story here, Kirby, a little bit. Right across from the McDonald's on Nairn.
Yeah, and apparently the Santa house was purchased and the new owners are still dressing it up.
Okay.
So it's like a hand-me-down thing.
Wonder if that's in the part of the contract to buy the house. You got to.
Honestly, it makes my drive when I'm stuck in traffic on that route like so much better.
So basically, the former house owners, they didn't move the fridge, the stove, or the freezer in the basement, or the Santa inflatable. They left it for the next
It's
time.
more of a ceramic, somebody said.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's tough.
The ceramic Santa stays, okay? That's not going anywhere.
The Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
You guys would have been proud of me. You should have seen me. I was like a CSI investigator this morning before I left for work because, we got that staircase where you go up a few stairs and then I guess you'd call it a landing with a couple of windows and then you go up the rest of the stairs to the upstairs of the house.
I call that a resting spot as well.
Yeah, and you get older and you can't do the whole flight of stairs.
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait.
You should get one of those chairs that comes up the stairwell. Like,
I can't
I've
wait.
seen the infomercials
Just
of those.
sit yourself
yes.
down and...
Would they judge you?
You're not making it up those stairs very fast on that thing.
No.
If you're like...
I'm not walking either, so...
If you're not 88 and you get one of those installed, does the person installing it judge you? Like, if you don't have mobility issues and you're not a senior citizen, will they judge you?
No, because they're taking your money.
That's
They
okay.
don't care.
I might get it done
They'll
soon.
install it.
So anyway, I look out the windows as I often do into the backyard from these windows, and there's fresh, like, footprints that don't look like a rabbit, and I know I wasn't out in the yard. Neither were the kids. So now I see these footprints.
Deer.
No, they were like...
like human.
What? Yes, but too big.
Footprints.
Too big for a human, so...
Too big?
It's either...
Bigfoot.
You know what? I don't believe, but these footprints, I'm going to go and take some pictures today in the yard. Because I don't want to, believe it's anything nefarious. I'm like, is that like a rabbit taking a few steps and then sitting down for a minute because they look big, like a resting spot for a rabbit, and then walking and then sitting down and then walk because they're giant. They're like these, like it looks like someone was wearing big sorrels. So I followed them. Well, I got to check this out. So I went to the back of the house, the windows of the back of the house in the backyard to see where the trail went. And I'm like, oh my God, are these on the deck too? Because now that would trip me right out.
And they lead right up to the door. That would be
right,
a little scary.
It would have meant somebody was on the deck trying
Somebody,
doors.
yeah.
But they weren't. They didn't go onto the deck. So I was like, whew, okay. They go right to where I believe all these bunnies live underneath the deck. So it's something animal related. Kirby, maybe it was a coyote dragging a rabbit. I have no idea.
Joe.
I think it was...
Can you just look at the text line, please? It's Stacy Aubrey, okay? She's...
Okay. God love
Morning, Stacy.
Poor woman's got enough going on in her day.
Well, she's got an explanation. You should probably talk to your wife more often. Honestly, I think a lot of your problems would get solved.
Hold on.
Oh my God,
Can
that's
I read
really
this?
Yes, Joe, I want you to read it.
What? It was the roofing guy, LOL. We have a hail claim, and he had to walk around the house to look at all the parts of the house that had hail damage. And here's the best part.
Oh, my God.
This is the best part. And he had big feet.
He did.
But here's the best
You
part.
noticed he had big feet?
This is
She's
you did.
observant.
You did.
You didn't even know you had a guy coming over to look at the house.
No, you know why? Because I could tell you exactly what happened. He was playing a video game or watching a show, and Stacy said, Phil, don't forget, at some point this week, an insurance person is coming by to, or a roofing guy, we have a hail claim. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. And then I can guarantee after that, The whole thing was dropped until he saw footsteps around his house.
And then he's got to be an investigator.
That relieves me, though. Like, it's a double-edged sword. I'm very relieved that those are just the roofing guys. Like, and I'm not tracking footprints.
No kidding. Of course you are. But I'm more of the side of I'm so glad that you and your wife were able to communicate through this program to get your day.
For more Philly, Joe, and Kirby, log it into 92.1 City weekday mornings 6 to 10.